Alright, boys and girls, welcome back to the drive-thru. Hope everyone's having a wonderful start to their week. Hungry? Stop by a deli. Get yourself some sort of sandwich, whatever sandwich you want. Okay? Maybe, I don't know. What did I have today? This was pretty slim pickings for a Monday. I was disappointed with the deli today. But Mr. Konecki's not here, and he still brought in the food. So God bless him. Stan, it's a shout-out to you. Much love. Hope everything's okay with your kids. Here we go. Always, sometimes, never review. A rhombus is a rectangle. I start out with this one because on our little family tree, these are horizontal. So your instincts are to say never. But it's sometimes. Because what if that rhombus was acting like a what? A square. If the rhombus was a square, then at that very moment, it's a rectangle. Or another reason I can give you is that a rhombus? Yeah. Is that a rectangle? No. Doesn't look like it, at least. Is that a rhombus? Yeah. Is that a rectangle? Yeah. That means the answer is sometimes. So in your head, try to draw an example that works and an example that doesn't work, and you can get to sometimes. Hey, if you're doing this at home, which most of you are, pause it now, answer it, and then unpause it and see if you're right, okay? It does you no good to just listen to me on these. If a quadrilateral has congruent diagonals, then it's a rectangle. This is another really specific one that could show up. Nick? Is that a rectangle? It's sometimes, isn't it? That's why I'm starting out with these two, because I'm pretty sure those two are on there, and they're tricky. You're thinking exactly what most people were thinking, Nick. You're thinking an envelope. An envelope certainly has congruent diagonals, but unfortunately, so do trapezoidal type envelopes. Isosceles trapezoidal types. So that is sometimes. This one, in case you missed it, was sometimes. All right, if a parallelogram has consecutive congruent sides, then it is a rhombus. That's always. That's one of the properties, or that's one of the ways to prove that something is a rhombus. Got it? Basically, think about it like this. Obviously not a rhombus, right? If I shrunk this side to equal that side, now that's a rhombus. Always. Next, a trapezoid is a parallelogram. That's never. Okay, if you guys could keep it down, I got to finish this video, okay? Alright, a parallelogram is a rectangle. Hopefully you're thinking of this. A rectangle is a type of parallelogram, okay? So a parallelogram can be a rectangle. It can also be other things. That's sometimes. If the diagonals of a parallelogram are perpendicular bisectors, then that parallelogram is a rectangle. Whoops. Excuse me. Okay, well, that is not a rectangle. That's a rhombus. However, that is a square. And is a square a rectangle? Yes, it is. So that one is sometimes. That's hard. If the diagonals of a parallelogram bisect the angles, then the parallelogram is a rhombus. Well, if I draw a shape that's definitely not a rhombus, hopefully you can see that that diagonal does not bisect the angles. This angle is significantly smaller than that angle. So what happens if the sides get closer and closer together? These angles start to become congruent. That is always, because it's a parallelogram. If the diagonals of a parallelogram bisect each other, then the parallelogram is a square. Well, all diagonals of a parallelogram bisect each other. So here is an example where it's not a square. Here, even though in a square this is what the diagonals do, they still bisect each other, and that makes this one sometimes. Maybe you're catching on, there's a lot of sometimes. And I hope that helps you prepare for our big test Wednesday. Chris, can I get a solo boom?